Good evening and welcome to the Coeur d'Alene Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, October 18th, 2021. Melissa, if you'd get us started with roll call, please.
Commissioner Cranston,
Here.
Commissioner McDowell,
Here.
Commissioner Lean,
Here.
Commissioner Tate, Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Wood.
Thank you. And we'll proceed ahead with a quorum tonight. Bridget, would you mind leading us all in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
You bet. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do any of the commissioners tonight have a conflict of interest with any of the agenda items this evening?
None here.
Okay, there are none. That moves us to the approval of the August 16th, 2021 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Lean and seconded by Commissioner Hill to approve the August 16th, 2021 meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Bill, that brings us to staff report.
So we've done this for some years now, many years. We have Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts that come to us and want a project. And we have in the past had them build us scores booths for Ramsey Park and other ball fields. We're having one young gentleman build a porta potty structure for us at our new 17th and Sherman Park. He'll be working on it this winter. But I was asked by a young man named Ryan Steinberg, and this is a picture of Ryan, maybe. Anyway, Ryan came to us with the idea that he wanted to put in a flagpole at the BMX track. So he sent us a little note and said, thanks to the Parks Department. He completed his Eagle Scout project by donating your time and ideas to my project. Your contribution made my project a great success. Because of your help, Cherry Hill BMX Track has a new flagpole to utilize raising the U.S. flag whenever a national anthem is sung by everyone at the race. Sincerely, Ryan. So anyway, it was nice that he sent that little picture of himself with his completed project. But we, like I said, we've done this, the 20-some-odd years I've been here, we've been doing it since then. So it's a good thing for the Scouts to do. They've helped us on Tubbs Hill with maps and stuff before. And anyway, this is a different one we have not done before in the past. It worked really well for Ryan, and thanks to him. Tomorrow, we are interviewing for a new position that we've created, Parks Mechanic. Our fleet is big enough now, and we have enough rolling stock that we felt it was time for us to have our own mechanic. Street Department's done a very good job at helping us out over the years, but their first priority are fire and police and their own fleet, and I get that 100%. They've been very helpful, but anyway, we're able to take a lead position and convert that into a mechanic position. And so we have 4 pretty good-looking candidates that we'll be interviewing tomorrow.
Essentially, where you'd be setting at the department would be at your shops there at Fourth Cemetery?
Yeah, so we actually ordered another auto lift. We have one in Bay 2. We're going to put another one in Bay 1. Bay 3 now is a welding area, so we've got that taped off and roped off where people can go in there and weld, and no one else in the shop can get flashed. So, yeah. So we're real excited about the prospect. And you may have seen out here at McEwen, CDA on Ice has been busy out there. The Murrays, Andrea and Jerome have been busy out there getting that thing set up. They're going to have a soft opening on the 30th. They're going to have a little shindig where folks that are invited, which are their sponsors, on that Thursday prior. But then there'll be a full opening on the 31st. Is that the 30th, the Saturday, or is that the Sunday? I've forgotten now, but that Halloween weekend. And speaking of that, just as an FYI to everybody out there, we do lock the cemetery on that weekend. So on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the cemeteries, both of them will be locked. Sometime about late afternoon, they'll be reopened the following morning around 7:30. So we've always done that year after year, but just as an FYI. And that's about it I've got for you.
Are you seeing continuing vandalism in the parks facilities, or is that quieted down now as we've?
Well, it's
entering
quieted
into
down a
fall?
little bit only because we have locked up those restrooms for winterization, so they're not getting access to those. Those are the ones that were getting hit mostly. So we'll see what next year brings.
Any questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Next is commissioner comments, and I think I'll combine this item with the commissioner reappointments item. I guess, Bill, we're just making the announcement that Bridget, Ginny, and myself have requested renewal for one more term on the commission.
I don't know if that was a request. I think it was a demand.
I don't know about that, but anyway, so I guess we don't need to take any action item on that.
That's
other
correct.
than-
You guys
we've
just need to agree
officially
that that's a good
requested
idea.
renewal on our terms, and
Right.
then that'll go to council for.
Correct. Yep.
For determination, okay. Do any other commissioners have any announcements or comments?
I guess I do have one comment. Eagle Scout project that we saw up here. You
Yes.
never know what those will produce.
Pardon me?
I said you never know what those will produce in terms of the young man that had done the project. I remember probably 30 years ago, my son had an Eagle Scout project, was to rebuild the swinging bridge up on Tubbs Hill.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
And now, 30 years later, he happens to be a senior bridge engineer for HDR Engineering.
Oh, no, really? How cool is
So,
that?
you
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Great. Anything else? Now's the time slot for public comments. Is there anybody here that would like to address the commission that are not already here for one of the agenda items? Okay. Well, our next two items on the agenda, Bill, then are our information items. Do you want to kind of introduce those to us?
I'll let Nick Goodwin, Urban Forester, introduce Gina, and she's going to do the first one, and Nick has a follow-up on the Fernand trail mitigation.
Okay. It's all yours, Nick.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here for the commission again. I am going to invite Gina Davis. She is a very valued member of our Urban Forestry Committee. She is helping us with a grant project to treat Douglas fir beetle within the city of Coeur d'Alene limits. She is an entomologist and group leader with the USDA Forest Service.
Great. Welcome.
Hopefully you can hear me okay. I know my voice doesn't project too well. So yeah, as Nick said, we really took a hold of a great opportunity that this past spring, the U.S. Forest Service through the Urban Grants Program offered a special funding opportunity, and we knew that with the fall early snow damage, and then in January we had quite a bad windstorm, and so there was a lot of downed materials, and we knew that with all of that downed green trees that would spark some bark beetle outbreaks. And so through kind of the coordination with the Idaho Department of Lands, Forest Service, and with Nick with the city, put in for this grant funding and was awarded it. And so it's called the Idaho Canopy Pest Preparedness Grant. And it included a couple of other aspects that will really benefit Nick and the city here in supporting the tree inventory and developing some invasive pest response plans, along with preparing for future storm mitigation. But the focus with this one is really on the really eminent concerns we're going to have with Douglas fir beetle in the urban environment. And so part of that is not just the storm damage, but really a lot of our trees are kind of in a difficult position right now because of the recent droughts we've had. And You know, I think a lot of us forget that, oh, we have rain 1 month and don't realize that maybe we haven't fully recovered from the past droughts. And so I just pulled this as a visual from the Drought Monitor. It's just a pretty easy online resource. And the darker colors indicate more extreme drought stress. And so obviously this past year was pretty harsh. And if you look back in 2015, we were in that stage, and trees really take some time to recover. Different species have different lengths of time, and it can be anywhere from 5 to 10 year response time on some of these trees. So even though that extreme point that we had previously in 2015, we haven't really fully recovered. We've had some dry seasons since then. So I'm just premising that with there's a lot more going on with our trees than just the immediate threat of insects and diseases. So this with the Douglas fir beetle, it is named appropriately that it is specific to Douglas fir tree. It does not attack any other species. It's native here to Idaho and a good portion of the western part of the country.
Can I please get you to move up towards the microphone?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry. And the outbreaks are really common with this pest after storms or fire damage or just something that causes a lot of breakage of live material. And those outbreaks can last anywhere from 3 to 4 years. Otherwise, they're generally just in the environment and not killing a lot of trees in the stand. They only have 1 generation a year, which helps us to try and mitigate the losses from this outbreak that will likely be happening. So a little bit on their life cycle I was going to go into is right now they're overwintered as adults, and then they fly in the spring, and it's usually when temperatures are around 60 degrees, so around here you never know. It could be March or it could be April or May. And so I'm not sure if you can see very well on the screen, but that down log, it's like little brown specks on the tree. That's when the beetles fly, and then they drill into the trees to start their reproduction cycle. And so the beetle, these are the egg-laying galleries. There's a beetle there laying eggs. You can see the tiny little eggs alongside that gallery, and this fella here or I should say female, just left the egg-laying gallery, and that would be this right here. And as those eggs then hatch into the larvae, you can see out here the larvae have reached maturity to pupate. And so it's that action underneath the trees that the beetles are essentially girdling the tree from underneath the bark of the tree is how they're killing the tree. So, what do we want to do in the regular kind of forest, the rural forest environment, and even in the urban environment? If we can remove the downed trees before the beetles can attack them, we can reduce the size of the population, like the material where they're creating their brood for the next generation. But obviously, we can't get everywhere. Even if we were able to address what's been in the city, like there was a whole lot of cleanup activity, we're surrounded by forest land, and so they will move in. They can definitely travel a few miles by flight. So there's other mitigations in like high-risk stands where we see larger diameter trees, like 14 inches or so or greater, or the older trees are generally more susceptible. And so if you can't remove those trees, like we don't want to do that in the urban environment, we are really fortunate with the Douglas fir beetle that we have learned the chemistry of their communication. And so the insects use the pheromones to either draw them in together so they can successfully attack a tree, because it takes thousands of beetles to kill a tree. They can't just do it on their own because the tree will overcome that one individual beetle. But there's also then the beetles, once they go into the tree, there's like a carrying capacity in the tree, and then they release what are called anti-aggregation pheromones. And so we've learned that in Douglas fir beetle, I'm just going to call MCH for short. It's a chemical compound that we have been, well, not myself, but scientists have been able to synthesize in the lab, and it is very effective at preventing the beetles from hitting the trees where those pouches are hung on them or in an entire stand. And so that picture is just we call them bubble caps. So the pheromone is encased within that cap. And the wonderful thing about the pheromones is they are species specific to those insects, and they're generally relatively low cost and minimal to no kind of environmental or human effects, because you're not going to have direct contact with them. That they're usually deployed high on
And
the
the
tree.
reason for the pheromone is that you're basically saying it's occupied, go away?
Exactly,
Correct.
that is
So
it.
it just says it's already, folks are here, move on. So you're pushing the beetles away from,
Yep.
good, okay.
Kind of like we say the no vacancy signs on this tree. Yeah. And so the plans here with the way the grant was set up and what we've been talking about doing with it is there was $2,000 awarded, and with that we're expecting that it could cover about 650 of these MCH bubble caps. And of course, the price kind of varies with volume, so we would want to, make one mass purchase. And so as it's being purchased under the grant, it would be different than just individual landowners buying it. So I wouldn't want people to get mixed up in the price of it. And as part of that, we will want to just give the general public some information in January, not only on the Douglas fir beetle, but the suite of native insects that are common in the urban environment and what we may be expecting right now post this past year's storm. And as complementary work to that, University of Idaho Extension often works in close collaboration with Idaho Department of Lands and the Forest Service, and they are going to put on a training that is really specific at educating landowners about MCH and how they can deploy it on their own property and acquire it. And so that will happen through the winter, and then in spring, the intent is in March, before those temperatures come up and the beetles fly, that the bubble caps will be distributed on city trees. It'll be on the public trees in town, but not in like the natural areas or Tubbs Hill. We're focusing on those really high value trees in town. So that's kind of the overview that I wanted to bring here, and I don't know if I covered everything you were hoping, Nick. And
Any questions for Gina? Bridget?
I'm curious, these bottle caps that'll be put on trees around town, are they accessible to children?
no, well, when we put them up, it's very purposeful to try and put them up as high as we can on trees. We actually, I don't know if you can see in the picture or not, it's just a little staple in there. And so we have kind of on a pole where we can tack them up higher in the trees because we don't want anyone to mess with them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you. That was
Thank
very
you.
informative.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gina.
Well, hello.
Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Hey, pleasure to be here again. I'm just here tonight to give you guys a brief update on the hazard fuel treatment at the Fernand Lake Natural Area. So I'm going to go through that real quickly. And so just a real quick reminder on this project overview. The driving force behind the project is, of course, public safety. In the event of a wildfire, the whole goal of this project is to reduce the fuel load on the Fernand Natural Area and create fuel breaks to prevent the spread of fire from the wildland into the urban interface, is what we call it, and that's where people live. So we worked on this with the Idaho Department of Lands. We have a local match that we're providing with our services. That's staff time, volunteer time, et cetera, et cetera. And we have a defensible space plan that was written by our project manager that we collaborated with, and that includes private landowners and, of course, the city of Coeur d'Alene. The grant priorities are going to be the Fernand Natural Area, Armstrong Park, community involvement, including a chipping program that's already been completed. There may be a second chipping program that comes into play, and other communities in the Armstrong Park area if funding is available. We are looking at possibly having some money left over when this is done, and we're looking at some best ways to use that with the fire department right now. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I lost my page. Go back. Okay, so once again, project objectives is to help save lives and protect property. And also we want to try to support the area's natural values. We really have a goal with this project, and our goal has been to do a mosaic treatment, leave grouping of plants so that we're not looking like a clear cut, which I know that's what people have been worried about. The fuel treatment projects, we did 29 total acres are going to be treated with this project. We have 13 acres that are being treated with mechanical equipment, which I'll go over a little later. And then we have the hand fuel treatment, which is guys, boots on the ground, moving stuff by hand and doing a lot of hard work. We had 14 acres being treated that way. And then we had 2 acres that were on ITD property, and that was near the I-90 exit ramp on the west side of Fernand Lake, which if you want to see a good example of the work really easily, you can go check that out. And then of course we have a herbicide treatment, and seeding programs are going to follow the work. So this was the original map that showed a total of 21 acres being treated. And this was the original map that we'd put together. It was a little more specific to the trail, and we had a lot less area that was put against the property owners in the back. And of course, we had 3 private lots that ended up not being able to be treated once we got into the grant details. This was what we tooled with this a little bit, and we changed the work up. We were able to bring some mechanical work in that really helped us grow that natural area. We moved it up to that we could treat, and we moved it up to 29 total acres. So we were able to grow that treatment area by quite a bit. This right now just shows the handwork is now 100% complete. We don't have any handwork on the ground other than there may be a little bit of follow-up after the mechanical work's complete to just hit the real detailed areas they might not be able to get that equipment into. But right now we're at about 80% completion. I was told that tomorrow or Thursday, the machine will be back on site finishing up. So here we have a demonstration of the equipment that we were going to be using, and here is that equipment working on the hill that is actively working on some homes behind Bailey Court. Here is an example. This is the work beforehand with this treatment. This shows what we were dealing with, or what the contractor was dealing with. Here's an example of what it looks like now. I walked the area with Troy Tymason and Bill Greenwood. We were all extremely impressed by the work that these gentlemen have done. Here's just more examples of the treatment method. Now, of course, when we first do the treatment, and some of this area was treated with a cut treatment, where we actually put an herbicide down right after the cut. That did make things pretty cumbersome for the project itself. So we ended up having to move away from that after a little bit of acreage was done, and we're going to be doing a bud out treatment at the end of the project that I'm currently working on getting contracted with the project manager. So of course this low brush that's been cut has kind of a cut mowed down look right now, but as that starts to grow and our seeding projects move forward this fall, in the spring, we should have a pretty nice look up there. So just some more examples of the work. You can really see here that ladder fuel, that's what we call that, ladder fuel spacing to keep that fuel load up high so that if fire does get in, it can't climb into the forest as it moves. And here we have an example of the burn piles that we have in place now. This is what the hand crews have done with the work. Now that big machine you saw before, that has what we call a big masticator. It's basically a big wood chipper on the end of it that goes through and chips everything down. They did as much of the work with that as they could. Even in some of the hand areas, they chipped up what they pulled, put it in sight. So there may be a few areas where they're still able to do that when they come back through. but the rest, of course, will be burned in some of these burn piles that we see here. Some of the piles might have to be consolidated a little bit by hand crews before the burning takes place, but this is what we're gonna see up there, okay? With the final work demonstration, this is, of course, what we're hoping it will look like when everything's done. And right now, we have some meetings later in the month with IDL, but the burning is planned to begin in early November. So after that, after the burning's done, we're working on getting some volunteers up to do some wildland grass seeding over the areas that have been treated to hopefully get some nice native grasses growing to give us a nice look and keep those brushy, woody plants from growing back up and have that grass to kind of help suppress that a little bit. Also, I'm working with our trails coordinator right now to improve trail access. This is going to give us an opportunity to really improve some of the trails in the natural area. It's opened everything up quite a bit, especially in the trail area. And then, of course, we're going to have some fuel break maintenance that we'll take on as staff, try to keep this work that we've put so much into to stay in place. So other than that, that's all I have for you guys tonight. I appreciate your time.
Nick, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned volunteers. Who would they contact if they wanted to volunteer?
They could contact me. Now, right now, I am working with our trails coordinator we have a group of volunteers who do some of our trail work for us. They've been a great team in helping us build trails, maintain some trails, and we're looking at them as a really good option to get some volunteers on the hill. You put those guys with a whirlybird spreader in their hand, you can spread a lot of grass seed. So we're trying to do that as a way to contribute to our match, but not also tie up a bunch of our staff and get some guys that are really familiar with being in the wildland. So I don't have a date for that yet, but if anybody was interested, they could contact my office, the Urban Forestry Office, through the Parks Department, and we could see about getting them signed up.
Thank you.
Nick, is there going to be kind of limitations to public access while you have a lot of phases of this work going on?
So once the work is completed, meaning everything to the burning, there should be no public access. We've had some limitations while the work's been going on. We've been spreading the word on Facebook, and our HOA president in the Armstrong Park area has done a great job of being a teammate to spread the word. But it's been pretty sporadic. We'll have areas that are completely shut down while other areas of the trail are completely open. The big thing was the mechanical treatment. Really didn't want anybody in those areas when that machine was going. Pretty surprisingly quiet, so it'd be pretty easy to walk up on that. But like I said, after this week, that work should be done. So pretty much just restricted access during burning, which would be what's left.
Okay.
right.
Anything else for Nick? Thank you,
Thank you
Nick.
very
I
much.
appreciate it. Okay, next is an action item regarding the row agreement renewal. The decision tonight would be whether the commission should recommend to the city council that the agreement with Row Adventures, allowing it access to Independence Point Beach for the purpose of launching kayaks for guided tours, be renewed for an additional 3 seasons. This will be the 7th season that we have allowed Row to conduct kayak tours from Independence Point Beach, and the responses we have received indicate that it is a successful and well received by the public. There is no cost to the city to allow the use. However, since it is a commercial venture, we are recommending that the lease require 5% of the gross tour income be paid to the Parks Department Capital Improvement Fund, as in previous seasons. This creates another water sport activity for residents and tourists. Kayaking and paddleboarding is growing in popularity, and these tours help fill that need. Row does not compete with other vendors, as it does not rent any kayak or paddleboard or provide rentals of any kind. Row only provides guided tours, and the tours are complete with all necessary safety equipment and instructions. This agreement can be terminated without cause by the city if it proves to be a problem for the beach users or boating traffic. To date, it hasn't caused any problems. Again, the decision or recommendation tonight should the commission recommend to city council that the 3-year agreement with Row Adventures for this activity be renewed. Bill, do you have anything to add to the staff report?
Peter Grubb and his team have been easy to work with. You hardly know they're there. We get several $100s, maybe $750, less than $1,000 a year from their venture, but they offer a nice service. And again, I don't think folks. I've not had anybody say, oh, there's somebody out here in my way, or they're taking up space. They're very cognizant of the public space, and they've been a great asset to us. I think, we get a little revenue, but yet it's a nice thing to provide for the community, the tours.
So with the agreement, draft agreement, nothing really has changed in the agreement other than the
Just the dates.
the date of the
Correct.
the
Yes.
term.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or discussion?
I guess I would just make the comment, Roe has always been a very respectful operator in terms of their use and access to the
Yes.
areas, and very environmentally respectful as well. I see this as being a positive for anybody that would take advantage of it, and certainly I don't see a lot of risk on our part.
Yep.
So I would have no problem in making a motion that we forward a recommendation to the city council for the approval of an extension of the lease.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner McDowell and seconded by Commissioner Hill. Recommend to City Council that the agreement with Row Adventures be renewed for 3 years. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The motion's made unanimously, and I guess, Bill, this will now go to General Services.
Correct.
On what date?
That's next Monday.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, next is the 11th Street Dock Agreement renewal. Again, the decision point would be whether the Parks and Recreation Commission should recommend that City Council approve a 5-year renewal of the lease of riparian rights with the 11th Street Dock Owners Association. Since purchasing the Idaho Water Company, the city has leased its riparian rights at 11th Street on the east side of Tubbs Hill for an existing marina and boat operation. The most recent lease was for 5 years and expired on August 30th, 2021. The proposed renewal of the lease is for another 5 years, beginning from August 31st, 2021. The rental fee under the new lease is $7,182.67 for the first year, then increasing each year according to the Consumer Price Index. In addition to the city will receive 1/4% of the yearly gross slip sales. The 5-year average of 1/4% is $1,497.30 annually. The association provides 2 benefits to the city with this lease. The first is a temporary boat slip for fire and safety vessels with an annual rental value of $7,000, and the second is a wastewater pump-out station for the public. The overall yearly value of this lease is over $15,000. The terms of the renewal of the lease are consistent with the lease that has been in place for many years. Again, the decision or recommendation tonight, should the Parks and Recreation Commission recommend that City Council approve the renewal of the lease with the 11th Street Dock Owners Association for another 5-year term. Any discussion? Bill, everything's been going smoothly with the
Yes,
relationship
and I think it's
with the
critical
lease down
to
there in the
note
past?
that, the value of this is, that the change in this actually is that 0.25%, and so we're going to see a little bit more revenue. But the additional piece that people need to remember is that they are allowing us to have fire boat access there and a slip. So there's some real value, and as I noted here, so the value of this may be well over 15K, and not, I said 15, I didn't really talk to them what they would lease that slip out for our fireboat, but it's there, and it's available to other entities as well. And then also the pump-out station. So they've been really easy to work with. They're a good association. I've met with their board several times. So this lease has been in place for over 30 years, I believe, maybe 27, 30 years.
Jim?
Bill, the wastewater pump-out station, is that a self-service
Yes.
type of thing?
Yes.
Do people know about that?
We hope to.
Okay.
So I hope they're listening to us now, and
Okay,
I
there
can
we
talk
go.
to this association about maybe placing a sign out there. to make certain that everybody understands that it's there. It's similar to the one we have at our marina here at the 3rd Street mooring docks.
Any further discussion, or I'll entertain a motion?
Go ahead.
I would make the motion, the Park and Recreation Commission should recommend that the council approve the renewal of the lease with the 11th Street Dock Owners Association for another 5-year term.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Lean and seconded by Commissioner McDowell to recommend to City Council to approve the renewal of the lease with the 11th Street Dock Owners Association for another 5-year term. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There you have the recommendation. I assume that'll go to General Services next Monday as well.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, our final agenda item then tonight is our last action item regarding the Sherman Park Square MOU. The decision point tonight is should the Park and Recreation Commission approve the concept of the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Park and recommend to the City Council that it approve the memorandum of understanding between the city, the Rotary Club, and Ignite Coeur d'Alene. The location of the Sherman Square Park was home to the F.W. Woolworth store, which burned down in 1980. The remains of the building were razed, and a lot sat vacant until 1986. That's when Don and Bob Johnson, along with Tom Robb, approached the property's owner, the Sheets family, and asked if they would be interested in allowing these local philanthropists to build a park at the site. The family liked the idea of a park, and Don Johnson was off and running to develop what is now known as Sherman Square Park. The Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club has been looking for a centennial project to commemorate its 100 years as a club and offered to purchase, redevelop, and upgrade this park with a funding partnership with Ignite Coeur d'Alene. There is no cost to the city for the redevelopment and upgrade. The city will incur irrigation costs and minor maintenance for the park into the future, although there may be opportunities for partnerships to share in the management and maintenance responsibilities of this public park. The purchase price of the parcel was $525,000, of which the Ignite Board paid $500,000. The Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club paid the remaining $25,000 of the purchase price and has committed an additional $275,000 for the redevelopment and upgrade of the park. The intent is to have the park upgrades completed by spring of 2022, and then the park will be transferred to the city and become part of the Coeur d'Alene Parks inventory. Currently, the park is heavily used and has been enjoyed by the public for 34 years as a place to sit and relax or to enjoy the Tuesday summer concerts along with other events hosted downtown throughout the year. The park also serves as a location for downtown business patrons to have a place to eat outside if those locations are too crowded. The Rotary Club hired John Mueller to create the concept. The Parks Department has reviewed the plan a couple of times and has made a few changes to the design. The Parks Department and City Administration are happy with the design, and the memorandum of understanding has been negotiated between the City Administration, Ignite, and the Rotary Club. Again, the decision or recommendation tonight should the Commission approve the concept of the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Park and recommend to Council that it approve the memorandum of understanding. Do you have anything to add, Bill?
Sure. We've got some of the club members here along with architect John Mueller, so I don't know if John Young is going to speak, or Jody, or even Bob. I don't know who all wants to speak on this topic, but we've got a whole bunch of folks here.
Come on all up, and if you would just state your name for the record, the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name's John Young. I am the co-chair of the design committee for the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club Centennial Park. I'll quickly kind of talk through the process of where we've been and what we've done in the last several months, and then Bob's going to go ahead and talk about history. Also joining us, like Bill said, is Jody Azevedo. She's one of the co-chairs with Bob of the overall project, and John Mueller, our resident park genius. So we have spent over the last couple of months, this project's been presented to the Downtown Association. The Downtown Association on August 28th endorsed the project. We again went there 3 weeks ago, and gave them a complete presentation, the same presentation that was presented to this commission back in August, excuse me. And again, we received their endorsement. We also made a presentation to the Parking Commission, and the parking, I understand a letter was forwarded today. Thank you, Troy. That we have the recommendation from the Parking Commission on our proposed concept, including moving out into the street so that we create a more embracing and engaging park center. John and I have worked very well with Bill on a lot of details, trying to make sure that this project is going to be as maintenance-free as possible, walk through some of the scenarios with the Downtown Association so that they're comfortable with their snow plowing that they do down in that area. And we'll continue as we work through these, work through the details on the design to bring Bill in and make sure that we've got a, not only a beautiful addition to the Coeur d'Alene community, but something that's going to be fairly maintenance easy and going to not take additional assets to maintain. Bob?
Thank you, Commissioner members of the commission. If you recall, I was here like August the 16th at your meeting, and Commissioner Wood had recommended that we discuss with further items, issues that were going on with other city members. So I think it was 2 days later, we had a big meeting with Bill, and Christie was there and other people, and sat down and went through it, and I think we came up with agreement that's before you now. As he said, we've met with the Parks Commission. We've showed them that. We met with the Downtown Association, went through that. They've got full support from both those entities. We've negotiated with the city attorney and Troy concerning the MOU, and we've met I don't know how many times on that and come up with, back and forth till we've come up with an agreement that's acceptable to everyone. So unless you have some further questions about anything else for me, as you said, Jody and I are the co-chair of the entire project, and we've been attending lots of meetings, and we hope this gets approved. We're ready to go, and so we ask for your endorsement.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I just have a comment. I would think maybe over the years, I've always been worried that that piece of property would no longer remain a park. And so
Right,
I think it's great to bring that into the city. It is a nice spot. So I think it's a great
I
project.
think a lot of people didn't know that that wasn't a park already. It was privately owned, and that could have been developed into a high-rise. So I'm really happy that we could be able to do this.
Having a small urban pocket park downtown has kind of proven its worth over the last 34 years, and now with what's being proposed for the redevelopment, it's just going to make it that much better, so look forward to it.
Yeah, I guess I would just offer, thank you for your patience. I know this has been a lot of conversations, a lot of discussion. It certainly is a good amenity that will be many years appreciated, I'm sure. We'll see how things go with the larger events there. We'll probably have to come up with some creative ways to facilitate those. But I think all in all, it's a beautiful park design, and I think it'll be a good addition.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do the commissioners have any questions or comments either regarding the design concept or the MOU?
No, but I would make a motion if you're ready.
Okay.
I would make a motion that the commission should approve the concept of the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Park and recommend to council that it approve the memorandum of understanding.
Is there a second?
Your turn.
Okay, I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Lean and seconded by Commissioner McDowell that Parks and Recreation Commission recommends approval of the concept of the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Park and recommend to council that it approve the memorandum of understanding. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Unanimous recommendation, Bill. So I
Excellent, thank
guess
you.
with that, what path does it take from here?
Well, again, on to general services and then on to council.
Okay. In general, to council, if it is recommended from general services next Monday, it'll be sometime.
In November.
Mid-November.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Any other announcements or comments before we adjourn? Okay. I'll just make our next meeting announcements then, that Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021 at 11:30 will be a Park and Rec workshop here at City Hall Conference Room number 6. And Monday, November 15th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m., right here at the meeting library community room for our next monthly meeting. Bill, do we have any agenda items that we know about coming up?
Yes, I'm working on one now with the Pickleball Association for an MOU for them to contribute to a building of a standalone pickleball court. Courts, plural, sorry. So I'm working on that. That's the one that'll be on our docket for that month.
Great, and we'll probably have information on that at the workshop.
Yep.
Very good. If there's nothing more for good of the order, then I'll entertain a recommendation for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Hill and second by Commissioner Lean to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Very